All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be once more back with you here on News Talk. Thanks for tuning in. I'd like to say good evening to all of you joining from where we call Ground Zero. Ground Zero referring to the Federal Republic of Amazonia. Thank you for tuning in. I'd like to welcome all of you too who are joining by way of the social media in Europe, from the USA, Canada, South America, the far and the near east, whoever divided them. Thank you once more for tuning in. Please, as usual, I'd like you to go ahead and hit your share button as I bring you very, very important subjects of the day. And in regards to our struggle for independence actualization here in Amazonia. So much has gone under the water, but I like to resurrect them and bring them to you with the rightful perspective into those issues. So please, as usual, I'd like you to go ahead, hit your share button, and let us in the next 5 minutes get at least 500 locked in, tune in to this broadcast for tonight. I'm going to be back. Please don't touch your remote. All right, ladies and gentlemen, once more, thanks for tuning in tonight to News Talk. I bring you very, very exciting information and illumination to the issues that have passed under the water in the past few weeks that I've not been here. I come today to do some justice with my panel on those issues. And before I go ahead, I'd like you once more to go ahead and hit your share button. If you are joining by the way of the social media, we want to see the platform saturated. I see less than 100 people right now. Again, in the next 5 minutes, can we make it 500 at the least in the next 5 minutes? So please go ahead and hit your share button as you join. Send it to the groups and to all your contacts on the social media, including WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, and the rest. Let him join the broadcast. Tonight, gonna be talking about somebody I have never wanted to mention on my show. I am talking about the guy they call Capo Daniel. I will be talking about the visit of Colonel Buba to Big Babanki and Boyo, where the population is forced to come out celebrating him for whatever reason I do not know. We'll be talking about that. And of course, we shall be talking about the final passage for Chairman John Frundi. But the main subject of the day is the confession, what I call or describe the conversion of Archbishop Andrew Nkea'S in Bamenda last week, about how they came about with special status for Ambazonia. So ladies and gentlemen, please do not touch your remote. Stay put. In 1 minute, I'll be right back.
That's the arrival of General Buba.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, what you are looking at there, are images of La République du Cameroon's General Buba showing up in the Big Babanki and Boyo. First, he made a stop at Big Babanki and then proceeded to Boyo. The population, the residents were urged to come out in palm fronts in the numbers. They were literally threatened out of their homes to show up in their numbers to welcome General Buba. Now, this General Buba guy is said to have died several times, said to have been killed several times in the course of this war. First, a few years ago, he was said to have been shot dead in Libya by the Red Dragons. That didn't appear to have been the case. Now, he was also said to have died some time ago, a few months ago actually, in Bowie County. Happened not to be the case. A few days ago, he was said to have been shot dead in Boyo. It appears not to be the case. And so apparently the man decided to show up with this pageantry that you find there in the Big Babanki and Boyo. Big Babanki and Boyo, to let the people know that he is alive and that he is the toughest general that the Republic du Cameroon can boast of. And so the people were pressured, forced to show up with palm fronds, leave the bushes. The people literally left the bushes to show up with palm fronds and in their numbers to welcome General Buba to Big Babanki and Boyo, where civilians continue to be killed, even with machetes, by the French Cameroon military. So that was happening in the Big Babanki and later in Boyo. Now, I also understand that thousands of French Cameroon troops have been pushed into Big Babanki and Boyo. The same thing is happening in Nkea'S and in Bowie County, Kumbo in particular. Now, this is what is happening, ladies and gentlemen, if you do not have an understanding of what is going on. La République du Cameroon is trying to win the presidency of the 79th General Assembly session of the United Nations. I think that is in September. And the message they are preparing to take out in September is that the war is over. The war is over, and the military is now trying to bring about peace and carry out reconstruction. That is a message that La République wants to send to the international community come September, and which is why everywhere in Ambazonia, every small town, village, and city, they are being militarized. Every small town and city in Ambazonia, they are being militarized. There is a bigger message they want to send behind this, which I will bring to you during my talking point. But that was again Buba in Babanki and Boyo. I will come to you with my response to what you see there on your screen. It is going to lead to nowhere. We have seen this before. We saw it in Bamenda when Paul Atanganji descended on Ayaba Hotel with palm fronds, and on the other hand, somebody carrying a gun beside him. We saw it in Victoria and in Boya when Colonial Prime Minister Dion Ngute descended upon the city of Victoria with palm fronds and his wrapper tied to the waist, shouting peace, peace, peace. It's been more than 1 year, actually going to 2 years, since Paul Atanganji and Dion Ngute descended upon these cities, and peace continues to elude them. Peace continues to elude them. Victory continues to elude them. The war goes on. Ambazonia thrives, ladies and gentlemen. Ambazonia thrives in this war. So if what Buba is doing in Big Babanki and in Boyo is about declaring to the world that the war is over and victory is at hand, they make a very, very big mistake. The next 5 years are not going to bring an end to this war. You can take my word to the bank. Silence does not mean non-action, ladies and gentlemen. The next 5 years, for as far as I am concerned, cannot bring this war to an end without La République du Cameroon coming to sit down on the table to talk or dialogue with Ambazonia. That is the only time we can call it an end. But for now, they can parade every town and city in Ambazonia. That doesn't mean the end of the war. It will never mean the end of the war. And now let me take you to something else that I like to bring to you today. Now I'd like you to listen to this. There is this guy they call Capo Daniel, ladies and gentlemen. I would never want to dignify him by any means. No, there are some people that you talk about them. You undignify yourself and make them appear relevant, whereas they are really not relevant. I am here referring to the case of Capo Daniel. So many times, people have contacted me from Ground Zero to say, Secretary Chris or Comrade Chris, do you know what this guy is saying? Do you know what Capo Daniel is saying? You guys should say something. You guys should do something. And every time I resist the temptation of trying to talk about him to make him appear relevant. But today, I thought I should do it just for what he sent out. I don't know whether it was yesterday or today, but I'd like you to stay put, please. Just watch and listen to it, and I will be coming back to give you my commentary on this subject. Listen to him.
Capo Daniel at the demand na say made them give us some upgraded special status, and then so it means say I be now na unionist. I be now na one Cameroon. I preach now one Cameroon. My country people them during a war when you don't fight, would you fight for independence? Cameroon the talk say Cameroon be one and indivisible. Along the way, after over 6 years of fighting, one side, when the government for La Republic, it come down for a high horse. It talks say either acknowledge this problem, offer a solution. That means say they don't make concession because the special status, that means say the Cameroon government, they don't surrender for some way. For talk say, okay, before we talk say the problem na terrorism. Now we talk say these people then true, then be distinct from any part for Cameroon. They don't give them this special status where you go give them some level of autonomy according to their own centralized system. This one na a major concession and change in posture. We, on the other side, who want independence, would deny for even consider, would dismiss anything with the Cameroon government Idangiam because we want not only independence and nothing else. Things have changed from the day we started fighting. Cameroon have made some concession. The international community have listened to our cry, put pressure to Cameroon and bring Cameroon to the negotiation table. It is not like before when we have never negotiated with Cameroon. The negotiation was done on our terms. Our terms was we want negotiation out of Cameroon in a neutral ground, guaranteed by a third party in the presence of the United Nations and other state party. The negotiation we have had already is on our terms. After that negotiation, you cannot pretend like nothing have happened. After that
well, I will leave it there. I believe many of you are going to listen to that post on the social media, Facebook precisely, YouTube precisely, ladies and gentlemen. But again, I have resisted again and again speaking in respect to anything that comes out of the lips of these irrelevant activists. Let me say one thing to every Amazonian out there who is worried, because I have received your messages again and again and again and again, especially from Ground Zero. And people say to me, Comrade Chris, do you hear what Capo Daniel is saying? Do you hear the things he say about you? And I have never want at any moment to respond to him. Because as I said before, sometimes when you respond to certain people, you undignify yourself, you lower your image, and you instead make them relevant. But listening to what he said today, I thought I should make a statement here and to everyone on Ground Zero. Comrades, I'd like you to know, we have never considered this guy a legitimate independentist. He speaks for his belly. He doesn't speak for Ambazonia. Stop taking him seriously. He represents himself and his belly and his wife, whom I learn is a citizen of La République du Cameroon. He does not speak for any organization. He does not speak for any group in this struggle for independence actualization. And so I am very concerned when I see responsible people, intelligent people, educated people keep on saying Capo Daniel, Capo Daniel, Capo Daniel. He is a nobody as far as this struggle is concerned. When you see somebody, you find somebody who cannot for once make a consistent statement. He doesn't make a consistent statement in 2 days or 2 times of his appearance on the social media. Each time he appears, he contradicts himself. He says exactly what suits the narrative of La République du Cameroon. Now we have known all along that he has been working with La République du Cameroon to the extent that what he is now saying, that he is now a one Cameroonese, doesn't change anything. We have always known him and his organization are one Cameroonese, ladies and gentlemen. So nothing that he is saying now is new and should move you. Because if we were counting for the stakeholders of this independence crusade, he will not be one of them. He will never be one of them. Let me assure you that. Because this is not a man I will sit on table side by side as Ambazonian to say, I am negotiating the fate of Ambazonian. Not this charlatan. Not this charlatan. Never, ever will that happen. We have listened again and again, different audios leaked from La République du Cameroon of this charlatan negotiating. You know, when you talk too much, they can think you are very relevant. And that is what La République du Cameroon has taken him for. He goes out, negotiate deals. Millions of CFA deals. The first one we heard of 500,000 francs. Sorry, 500 million francs. That was the first deal he was negotiating with La République du Cameroon. I believe some of you listened to that audio. Only a few days ago, we also heard La République du Cameroon officials quarreling him for not delivering on their promise upon the money they have paid to him and whosoever. And now suddenly, a few weeks after that audio, he is out saying, well, negotiations have taken place. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the guy who represented you at that negotiation. Talk about the Canadian something. The Canadian something, that is the guy who represented you. And he is now wanting you to believe that negotiations have taken place. Cameroon has shown good faith by coming to the table. Cameroon has shown good faith by offering special status. He no longer believes in independence for Ambazonia. He believes in one Cameroon. One Cameroon. Please, please, I beg you all to listen to the sound of my voice. He can say that a million times. That doesn't make him representing anybody in this independence struggle. So please, when you see his videos making the rounds on the social media, please stop patronizing him. Stop taking him serious. That is why he can call my name, shout my name a million times. I won't care to respond to him, because to me, he is a charlatan, he's a non-entity, irrelevant for as long as this struggle for independence is concerned. So please, fellow comrades, Ambazonians, I hear so many of you worried about audios like this. This is not the guy. This is not the kind of person who will sit at any conference table to represent Ambazonia. Not him. So please, hold your peace. Everything is okay. Ambazonia is okay. All right, I'm going to go out for a brief moment, and when I come back, I take you to my talking point of the day and bring in my panel for tonight. Stay tuned, please.
You were seen in several occasions. You were seen in several occasions advocating for peace. You also led the caravan.
I did a 2-hour interview with Radio Evangelium of Manfe to explain to the people what had happened in the dialogue. What happened? When we went in for a grand dialogue, I must be clear to you, the bishops of this province had already put out a memorandum to the Prime Minister in preparation for the dialogue to stand for federation. We said federation. And this is how we went into the dialogue. Now, this is what I want to explain to your televiewers.
Right.
When we went into that dialogue and we started talking, this was still the opening of the dialogue. It was Chief, the late von Mukete, who got up and he made an analysis. All the videos are still there. Von Mukete started by saying that the position of the Southwest was that they don't want to have anything to do with the Northwest. And that if they are talking about federation, The Southwest position was that they didn't want any federation as long as that would have them to do with the Northwest. We're all in this hall. And Mokete went back to history to analyze the divisions and the disagreements between Southwest and Northwest. And that federation on condition that Southwest and Northwest are not together. Now, when he said this was the position that the Southwest brought to dialogue. And the Southwest said, 10-state federation. They were for federation, but 10-state federation. One man from the east and one from the north got up and said, look, we have never been a state. Why do you want to force us into statehood? You say you want 10 states. Why are you forcing us to be a state? You were a state, you know what it means. We have never been. So we don't want. Why do you want to force us into statehood? You say you want 10 states. Why are you forcing us to be a state? You were a state, you know what it means. We have never been. So we don't want state. Big argument broke out in the hall. And in the end, it is some lawyer who got up and went back to the Constitution and say, okay, with these arguments, there is provision for special status. Okay. So let us go back now to this Constitution and see how this special status can help Northwest and Southwest remain a little bit independent, but at the same time, not within the Federation. This was a compromise position that came out of the dialogue because the Southwest position was that they wanted federation but nothing to do with the Northwest. These are clear facts of history that we lived through in the Grand National Dialogue. So now people are arguing, oh, they want federation, they want this and the other. We sat in that hall and this is how the word special status came about.
All right, we sat in that hall, and that is how the word special status came about, ladies and gentlemen. That is according to Archbishop Andrew Nkea'S, the Archbishop of the Catholic Bamenda Diocese. I am going to do a little justice on his presentation there by paraphrasing it to the understanding of everyone. The bishops of the province, he says, in preparation for the Grand National Dialogue, had written a memorandum prescribing a federation. What kind? He did not say, mention it. When we went into the opening of the dialogue, he said, and started talking, late Chief Informed Mokete got up and made an analysis saying that the position of the Southwest was that they want nothing to do with the Northwest, and that if they are talking about federation, the Southwest position was that they don't have anything to do with the Northwest. According to Archbishop Nkea'S, or Nkea'S, Mokete, he went on then, went back into history and began to analyze the divisions between the Southwest and the Northwest in their terminology. He said that was the position of the Southwest brought into the dialogue, that they were for federation, but a 10-state federation. One man, according to Bishop Nkea'S, one man from the east and another from the north, said they have never been a state. Why are you forcing us into states? We have never been one. We don't want states, Bishop Nkea'S said. As this argument broke, according to him, one lawyer stood up and said, in the Constitution, there is a provision for special status. This is how special status came about. That is the anatomy by Bishop Nkea'S. The autonomy of the regions has to be strengthened, Bishop Nkea'S says. We are doing a lot of talking, he said, and very little is happening practically. The regions should be empowered, and they should be able to take their own development into their hands. then, according to Bishop K, this problem will take a different dimension. Ladies and gentlemen, Bishop K fails to disclose that special status disregards regional autonomy by denying the presence of elected governors and elected mayors. Additionally, it does not grant regions the authority to control their own resources. For example, will Limbe, Victoria control the oil? Special status merely represents a compliant stance, lacking the intention to provide Ambazonia with equal standing to La République du Cameroon. Consequently, Bishop Nkea'S alignment with individuals from the east and from the north of La République du Cameroon raises questions regarding their awareness, the bishop's awareness of the concept of regions, considering that they were previously referred to as provinces. The bishop's statements imply that they succumbed and surrendered to the special status solely due to opposition from two francophones. Furthermore, it is worth questioning whether Chief Mukete's representation accurately reflects the viewpoints of the Southwest region, given that Bishop K himself hails from the Southwest region, again in their own terminology. When did Mukete begin to speak for the Southwest? We don't know that. It is regrettable to inform Bishop K that they failed to persuade us. The level of autonomy he describes can be attained through a genuine federal form of government. But to accomplish this, a more comprehensive discussion would have to be required. I want today to assure the people of Ambazonia that special status and federation will not be subject to negotiation with La République du Cameroon at any given point. When we joined La République du Cameroon in 1961, it was on equal status basis, and their constitution does not have the authority to dictate a special status for us. Otherwise, we would no longer be two states that came together or having equal standing. Ambazonians should be confident that we will not accept special status or any form of federation. Our goal remains the attainment of a free and independent Ambazonia. The ongoing geopolitical events in Ukraine, West Africa, and Central Africa are actually working in our favor, providing us with better opportunities. I have a deep understanding of these matters and a strong conviction, ladies and gentlemen, that they will all play to our favor. They will all play out to our favor. Initially, I thought that the world had forgotten about us and turned its attention to Ukraine. However, the situation in Ukraine, along with the shifting alliances in West and Central Africa against French imperialism, is now favoring our cause. I hope you get that. Unfortunately, I cannot share all the details at this moment, but just know that we are diligently working behind the scenes as these developments unfold. All Ambazonia needs is patience. Patience is necessary as we continue to navigate through these circumstances. Despite the challenges, we remain committed. We remain resilient, committed to our cause, and are actively working towards our ultimate goal. The Cameroon army is crossing our territory, trying to make believe that they are running away with victory. They won't see that victory. Not the victory that still leaves Ambazonia as part of their territory. Victory is surely on our path. And that is the subject of my talking point for today. I am being joined, ladies and gentlemen, by two gentlemen, honorable gentlemen, both of them from the Restoration Council of Ambazonia. And we're going to be delving into the subject of this discussion, of this confession by Archbishop Andrew Nkea'S. Bishop Nkea'S says they came about with special status as a result of the late infant Mukete saying, oh, the Southwest will never go into any federation of a two-state federation or a four-state federation or a 10-state federation where the Northwest and Southwest regions, again in their own terminology, are one. Bishop Nkea'S what he is doing is shifting the responsibility of the moment, their collective responsibility, to a man who is dead and gone. We never heard Bishop Nkea'S come out after that so-called Grand National Dialogue, conducted a press conference to explain to the people of Ambazonia, the southern Cameroons, why special status became necessary. Now, Christian Tumi is dead and gone. The only person who was bold enough to mention, actually on my show, that Infon Mukete was the problem was the late chairman, John Frundi, who made it very clear that at the Grand National Dialogue, Infon Mukete said the Northwest and the Southwest can never join. But Bishop Nkea'S did not come out to explain the things that he has now explained. Which leaves us with the question, is this the reason why they are trying to lord special status upon us? As Bishop Nkea'S says, when they brought on the subject onto the table, one gentleman from the east and one from the north of La République du Cameroun said, why do you want to force states upon us? Why? We've never known states. We've always known regions. My question to Bishop Nkea'S is, why didn't you ask them, before becoming regions, what were they? Were they not provinces? But then they changed it to region. That was okay for as long as it was La République doing that. But when it comes to transiting to states, no, Francophones see that they see a problem with the terminology, with the form of state, and say, no, you don't have to impose states upon us. Whereas it would have just meant a transition, another transition from the province to the region, from the region to the state. But Bishop Nkea'S doesn't tell us what their response was. But that is not the big issue here. The big issue is we now understand from Bishop Nkea'S' confession that it was all their making. Special status was all their making. You cannot put it on Infon Mukete alone, all of you. In fact, Bishop Nkea'S says at a point that he was the one trying to separate the fight between the parties, between the parties. And he says that going into the Grand National Dialogue, the Confederation of the Bishops in this province, they had drafted a petition asking for a federation. What kind of federation? Bishop Nkea'S doesn't mention that. A 20-state federation, a 10-state federation, a 2-state federation, he doesn't mention that. But we are going to delve into this commentary, ladies and gentlemen, with my panel here. Let us understand why these men, including the church in the southern Cameroons, I'm referring here to especially the Catholics and the Presbyterians, they are leading us into the hands of La République du Cameroun, wanting us to remain slaves. forever. Honorable Ajwa, it's a pleasure to have you, sir.
Thank you very much, Comrade Chris. I want to first of all appreciate the introduction that you brought in from the issues happening in West Africa, and also this particular topic having to do with the involvement of the church in the matters concerning the Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia. And I'm hoping that we'll have a very fruitful discussion on these topics. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure to have you. I also have from the Restoration Council, the Honorable Sango Lewis. Good to have you, sir.
Well, thank you so kindly, Comrade Chris. I think I should applaud you for everything you've said today, because you've been very succinct in describing a host of things. And certainly, I appreciate the fact that you have touched so many things that maybe we didn't even have to have this discussion, because you have been very elaborate in explaining a lot of this stuff. So basically, today is an opportunity for us to express our feelings about this movement, what the so-called elites have in mind, and what they have failed, to do consciously as individuals that, Ambazonians look upon them. And if you cannot deliver what the Ambazonians are looking for, then more likely than not, I think you're not worthy of your leadership. So I do appreciate everything that you've said. Let's go on with the conversation.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate those kind words. Also, we have on set Comrade Dennis Atemken joining us all the way from Africa. Good to have you back, sir.
Thank you, Comrade Chris. I'm glad to be here with you people this evening. All of this only points to one thing. It looks as if our people don't understand the history, where they don't understand that we are more like people who want to say that, oh, just take me as your slave. I don't want to have any rights. Decide the rights that you want for me, and so on. So I like that we discuss this issue this evening. So I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Wonderful. I will delve into the subject straight, gentlemen. We cannot shy away that no problem, there is no Northwest, as they call it, Southwest issue. Growing up as a child from secondary school to high school to university and so on, that problem has always been there. We have heard it. But tell me, isn't this an invention of La République du Cameroun to set our politicians from the southern zone and the northern zone apart? Wasn't this the type of divide and rule that we've always heard of? Dennis, I'll start with you again, sir. Dennis, did you hear me?
My Wi-Fi was briefly off. Can you repeat what you said, please?
Yes, this is what I said, that we cannot shy away that there is no Southwest, Northwest problem. That problem has been there, is a reality, but isn't it an invention of La République du Cameroun to divide, rule, and conquer us?
Let me address that problem a little bit. First of all, there are some people in the Southwest who believe that the Southwest belongs to them. CDC, they say they are the ones who should control. You say the University of Boya, they say they are the ones who should control. You say the radio, they say they are the ones who should control, and so on and so forth. I think this fake problem about Southwest-Northwest divide is simply a device not only by La République du Cameroun, but by those people in the Southwest who want to hide their own hegemony behind the issue of Northwest-Southwest. Now, I want to ask a very simple question. What can a Southwest person show me that he has done to me because we come from the same province? Has the Bakuri man treated the Bakosi man more preferentially because to show that he comes from the same province with them? Has he treated him better than the Bamenda person? So there is so much that we can say about this Northwest-Southwest divide. I've asked myself the question, are the people from Northwest imposing any new laws on the Southern Cameroons, on the Southwest people? Nothing. Are they the ones selling Southwest lands? Nothing. Are they the ones controlling Northwest lands? Nothing. Are they trying to change the educational system in the Southwest? Nothing. What exactly is the problem? You see, people create all kinds of problems. It is as if the Basar man would say that I cannot share a province with the Beti man because I have a problem with him. Now, how does that work? How does that work? How does that work? You see, the fundamental problems we are talking about between the Cameroons and La République du Cameroon are the things that are dividing us. That is to say, they want us to sing the anthem. They want to impose their flag on us. They want to deprive us of our heritage. They want to deprive us of our educational system. They want to deprive us of our legal system. They want to impose their own language on us. So these are the fundamental things that would disrupt a relationship. But now the Northwesterner is not imposing anything on any Southwesterner. He's not governing the Southwest lands. He's not the one making appointments in the Southern Cameroon, in the Southwest. He's not imposing any law on Southwesterners. So what exactly is the issue that people are raising? I want to understand. I want to understand. Is it just the fact that they say, oh, there was a school here that moved there and so on? Those are not problems because those are universal problems. The fact that the Northwesterners have drifted to the Southwest is a universal problem. Everywhere in the world, people drift to the areas which are more fertile, the areas where there are jobs, the areas where there are employment opportunities. If those employment opportunities were in the Northwest, Southwesterners will also move to the Northwest. So I don't understand the fundamental issue that people are raising between Northwest and Southwest. There isn't any such issue at all. These are inventions by those who want to hide their own hegemony in the Southwest and by La République du Cameroon who want to use CPDM cronies to disrupt people's mentalities, to confuse people, to develop hate against each other for absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. So really, I want to appeal to any reasonable person to look at this issue fundamentally, to ask themselves the question, are these people imposing any laws on us? No. Are they the ones governing our land? No. Imposing a new language on us? No. Are they imposing an educational system on us? No. What are they really doing that we are complaining about that our own brothers are not doing to us? Are they the ones double dealing in lands in the Southwest? No. So what is the issue? I want someone to explain that to us.
This is something that we can say is the fruit of the dialogue.
Sorry about that. Good. All right. Thank you, Comrade Dennis. I like Honorable Sango. Listen, this is a panel of all Southern Zonas, as we call it, a panel of Southern Zonas, and I'm not making a mistake to bring this subject. Northwest-Southwest divide is an invention by the elite. People like the bishop you find on your screen, the Fonmukete, the Angwa Falls, and so on. It's a ploy hatched by the elite, initiated by the CPDM regime to divide us, rule us, and conquer us. Because I don't remember whenever Fonmukete was known to be the mouthpiece of Southwesterners. Honorable Sango, take it, sir.
Yes, excuse me. I think sometimes it's very unfortunate that people will use a few differences to divide us. I know as a fact, or for a fact, if you wouldn't mind, that growing up as a child, honestly, Comrade Chris, Comrade Dennis, and the other Chris, growing up as a child, we went to primary school, we would have fellows from Northwest Province. We have intermarried. We dine together. They have been there from time immemorial. As a child, I know the Northwesterners have been part and parcel of the Southwest Province. And what I find very apprehensive and very misleading is that, the elites, the so-called elites, want to maintain the status quo. They use the Northwest-Southwest divide as a way to divide us. It will never happen because we live in a world that we all depend on each other. And I see this with people from the Northwest. They are part and parcel of us. In fact, let me say something in perspective. History has some very an unseemly fashion. Something that happened many years ago, you will find it happen again today. In every developing country, if you go to the metropolis, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, the so-called strangers, those you think are not part of you, are the ones who actually foster development in those areas. You find that everywhere around the world. In the United States, the strangers are the ones who are even making a lot of impact in this economy. And that's why they say, you know what, allow people to come in here. And I think that applies the same in Cameroon. Our folks, our friends, our relatives are part and parcel of our communities. They are part and parcel of our communities. If the late phone knew something was wrong, and this is my question, why didn't he find a time to make a difference if he found there was a problem between North and Southwest? Did he ever ask for a solution to the problem that he thought it was or was existing? No, he did not. He didn't do that. And I think as one of the status quo, who maintained the status quo, it was his way, because he had benefited from La Republique as long as he lived. His estates, for the most part, for what we know, came from the benefit as a chief of fund from Meme division. So basically, it's someone who benefited a lot from La Republique. So there's no way he could have to deny, that fact. So basically, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes if you look at history, you should be very careful because history has a way of repeating itself. We've seen this happen over and over and over in different parts of the world. So we should be very careful with manipulators, politicians who want the best because they want to maintain the status quo. So this is a typical example of someone that we all know has benefited a lot from the La République du Cameroon. So you can't expect anything different from that. But we should use our objectivity to know that, even people in the Southwest Province, they have their own problems against themselves. They have differences against themselves. So if you find someone in the Northwest Province and you're trying to make a point of division between Northwest and Southwest, ask yourself whether people in the Southwest Province don't have problems against themselves. They do. I know that for a fact. And it's not denying that this is nothing but a fabrication of politicians who want to maintain the status quo.
Thank you, Sango. Let me get to Honorable as you are there. I don't know whether in your lifetime you have known Chief Mukete to be the spokesperson for Southwesterners. That aside, is you know that Bishop Nke is from the.
Big argument broke out in the hall.
You know, Bishop K is from the Southwest. He is precisely from Libya. Is Bishop K wanting us to believe that Fon Mukete was speaking on his behalf too? Honorable Ajua.
Yes, thank you, Comrade Chris. First, before I come to this topic, to that question that you just asked, let me back up a little bit and look at a few things. Every relationship that we have ever had with French Cameroon has always been marred with fraud with lies, with deception. In fact, even if we look at our relationship from the point of view of did we actually join French Cameroon? Is there any documentation anywhere that we joined them? For example, at the United Nations. You look at 20th May. That was another fraud. Every item that happened, whether it was 20th May, whether it was him changing the name of French Cameroon from La République du Cameroun to United Republic of Cameroon, back to Federal Republic of Cameroon, back to United Republic, back to French Cameroon. Everything has been fraudulent. We have two countries registered at the United Nations as two separate countries, two different dates of independence, fixed borders. So how does one country become subservient to the other? How does one country become a slave to the other? That is something that doesn't make sense at all. The historical facts show that we are an independent state because there was a vote in the United Nations for that. Let me go to Mfon. History says that he was a member of the Southern Cameroon's team in the Eastern Nigerian House of Assembly in Enugu. When we broke away from them a little bit before, around or a little bit before the mid 1950s, he was there. He was one of the people that represented the Southern Cameroons. And he knows very well that that team was made up of what we call, what you and I can, I think it was called Bamenda province at that time, and Boya. They were just divided in that form. French Cameroon just came and used different names, again, because of their divide and rule. If Von Mokete knows this history, and he later on went to represent our people, he should have maintained the interest of the Southern Cameroons throughout, which means that along the way, they got bought as through corruption, as what French Cameroon does, and they play their belly politics, and they forget about the consequences to the majority. In other words, the few, the so-called elite, or the few, they benefit themselves, and they push everybody else into the trash can. That is what is happening. That is what has happened. So in a sense, that comment that he made about, he could have fixed it. He was in a position to fix it and say, no, we cannot keep on pushing this idea of Northwest and Southwest. I hate to use that Northwest and Southwest. At some point, maybe even saying Northern Zone and Southern Zone, we are simply changing the terminology.
Absolutely.
That is what La République du Cameroun does: divide and conquer, create hate. They are trying to succeed in putting division through hate or through hatred between the people of the southern zone of the Southern Cameroons and the northern zone of the Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia. That is what they have been trying to do, and to a certain extent, they are succeeding. Now, about all this grand national dialogue. The grand national dialogue in itself, just according to French Cameroon's playbook, they were having a dialogue. That dialogue was between themselves. Everybody that went in there was already in their book. How many people do you know that had contrary ideas, totally contrary ideas about even federation? Let me just say total independence of Ambazonia, that were in that grand national dialogue. How many do you know? Name them. Name the people that were in that grand national dialogue who came up publicly on national television and told the world that our group, we are for the total independence of the Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia. How many of those do you know? None. I don't know any, and I don't think there were any. So everybody that was in that so-called grand national dialogue, from there all the way to the Swiss initiative, to the Canadian, call it the Canadian initiative as well. All those were being manipulated by French Cameroon to suit their own interests. That's essentially what they were doing. And of course, we all know about the blunder where they went into they went publicly and they disgraced Canada publicly, which to me was a diplomatic blunder to come and say we never sent anybody or any entity to go and represent us on this matter. So they were saying that the Canadians were lying. Is that what they were saying? So you can never trust these people. There's nothing that they ever can do that they do it with in good faith. You cannot trust them. If you sign any document with them, know that there's going to be trouble from that document. They will disavow that document down the road.
Let's hold Honorable, let's hold it there. Let me get to Dennis. What do you make, sir, of the fact that Archbishop Nke'a is trying as hard as he can to convince Ambazonians that under special status we will have some greater autonomy, and he says, let's stop talking, let reconstruction start, let every region take its development into its hands. Do you believe that? Do you see Victoria in that arrangement, being able to mine its own resources and deploy the funds to develop Victoria or Vaco? Or you think that Bishop Nke'a is just being manipulative?
Of course, those are the talks of hypocrites, isn't it? The Catholic Church is known throughout history to have supported murderers, and we are not surprised about that. One thing we should remember is that Bishop Nke'a shows that he doesn't know the history, or he knows the history and believes that Southern Cameroonians are subhuman. They don't have rights. They cannot fly their own flag. They cannot sing their own anthem. They cannot follow their own laws. They cannot speak their own language. Their fate must be decided by a foreign country called La République du Cameroon. So when I hear such things, it is shocking, because I expected that he should know better than this. And not only that he should know better than this, but that he should stand up. You see, when throughout this war, tens of thousands of Southern Cameroonians have been killed, I never saw him come out to say, no, Paul Biya, you started this war. Please stop this war. They keep talking of peace. Let there be peace, let there be peace. When they know exactly who started the war, when they know who exactly is the aggressor, when they know who exactly is at fault, they know the rights we have. We are standing up for our rights. We are not standing up for anything that belongs to La République du Cameroon. But shockingly, you will not hear a single one of them come out to say, we are calling on the government of La République du Cameroon to stop this war, that it declared the war has no purpose. They will never do that. They will come out and tell you, oh, we want peace, we want peace. Hypocrites of the first order. Why are they even unable to call for the aggressor to stop the war? Why are they unable to call for Paul Biya to stop his war? They know that he declared war. Our people never took up arms. Throughout our history, we have never taken up arms to fight La République du Cameroon. Why, for once, when they see us take up arms and they know who declared the war, why are they unable to say so? So talking of peace without justice is just hypocrisy. And these are people who say they are preaching justice. They are talking for God. What kind of God is that? The God of injustice? The God of slavery? How is that possible? Look at a few Francophones were killed. He came out talking about peace again.
That was actually the first time I saw Bishop Nke'a out there fraternizing and consoling with the dead. Thousands of Ambazonians have been killed in the course of this war. He never stepped out once. I mean, the Archbishop of Bamenda, he didn't step out once to console with the people. But when Francophones are slaughtered, he was out there the next day.
Yeah, and Comrade Chris and Comrade Dennis
came out to mourn for their own.
Sango, hold on, let Dennis just finish the point. You come in. Dennis, go on.
You see, the elites of the Western Province and the chiefs came out to mourn for their own. Just a few that were killed, I think there were 9 or 10. Now, thousands of our own have been killed, Our own elites and chiefs have no courage to come out because they're hiding behind the protection of the enemy. They're hiding behind the protection of the aggressor. And they want us to believe that they have our interests at heart. How is that possible? Even they are talking, he is there narrating with so much joy about the special status. Was that why the Grand National Dialogue was called? None of them dare raise the issue about the root causes of the conflict that was going on, for which the Grand National Dialogue was called. He has not mentioned once how they raise the issue, but yet they are there telling us about, how the national special status came about. Paul Biya himself told us in 2019 when he went to Paris that they had tried to assimilate us and they failed, and that's why they gave us special status. All this narration about von Mukete being the one whose opinion brought about the special status, I don't buy it. Since when did individual private opinion dictate government policy? Since when? So if Mokate had said, look, okay, we want a two-state federation, Paul Biya would have given it because of that opinion.
Right.
So, my brothers, these things, we need to educate our people even more, especially those people calling themselves elites, the church people, the funds, and all those people. Either they're just hypocrites hiding behind the enemy, just part of themselves evil, because I don't understand how we will have absolutely nothing to do with French Cameroon. Let them read all the falsehood that we joined. We did not join. The federation was adopted solely by the Parliament of La République du Cameroon, imposed on the Southern Cameroon. In fact, it was adopted on the 1st of September 1961. It was adopted 1 month before the trusteeship over the Southern Cameroon ended. Our own National Assembly was not given the chance even to endorse it. Our people were not given the chance even to endorse it. Yet, when their children stand up to raise these issues, instead of understanding and reasoning with them, they are there hiding behind the oppressor and pretending to mourn for their children more than they themselves. This is very offensive, really.
Yeah. Sango, go on, please.
Yes, I was trying to bring out something that during the initial stage of this struggle, we had a lot of stories coming from Mante. In fact, Bishop Nkea'S was almost frequently hiding under his bed because they were after him. Constantly hiding under the bed because they wanted to kill him. Now, what happened? What transformed between then and now? I think two things are very obvious. Either he has compromised his belief in the struggle, or he has turned himself to be a coward. But I can understand, because sometimes you do things, based on what is to your best interest. But certainly, there is no question in my mind that he turned 360 degrees when, for a fact, he was one of the strongest advocates for the struggle. So what turned around, or what made him to be what it is today, is anyone's guess. And when I'm reflecting on the Northwest-Southwest divide issue, one of the things that bothers me a lot is I'm not sure if politicians know this. Is it the Northwesterners who killed Marketing Board? Is it the Northwesterners who killed Yoke electricity? Is it not? I mean, the list goes on. So if people complain about the Northwest-Southwest, they don't see the intricacies or the things that they are missing. They're missing a huge point, because the Northwesterners were not responsible for all the deficiencies that happen, politically, economically, and otherwise. It is the government of La République that killed all of those institutions, which were very viable. They gave a lot of jobs to our citizens in the Southwest and Northwest provinces, but because they knew one way to dismantle all these institutions is when they took them into their own hands. And that's exactly what happened. So if anyone tells you there's a Northwest-Southwest divide, it's a figment of imagination, because that's not the truth story about it. It's something more than that. And we know those individuals who are the brain behind this divide and rule. It's just like I said earlier, those elites who don't want to give up because it is their daily bread. They don't want to dispense it.
Let's get back to the question, and this is to Honorable Ajua again. Bishop K wants the public to believe that special status will give Amazonians autonomy. Is that actually the case? Because we need to educate our people to understand this level of manipulation.
Uncle Chris, just to answer your question directly, no. A special status will never give Ambazonians or the Southern Cameroons any autonomy. They will always use a backdoor in order to always have full control. Even if they get to that stage where they say, Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia, with your special status, you are going to elect your mayors, you will elect your district officers, you will elect your own governors. French Cameroon will find a way to put an overseer, give that overseer any title, regional overseer, regional manager, whatever, who will be reporting to Yaoundé and who will be present in all major meetings to actually be like the chair of that meeting, which means that there is nothing that you are going the so-called special status state will do that will not be approved by him. He has to approve it. And now, having said that about this, let me back up a little bit, Comrade Chris, and go and talk about Archbishop Nkea'S, or sometimes some people say Nkea'S. That his name is
Yeah,
a
it's a
little
little
difficult for me to
difficult,
pronounce.
even though
Yeah, I'm not really sure what the exact pronunciation is, but that is, I would say,
of that name,
I would
whether
say
it's
Nkea'S.
or
Yeah,
Nkea or
Nkea'S. So
whatever.
that's what I will say. So Archbishop Nkea'S is acting within the domain of call it the domain of religion. What does the French Cameroon Constitution say about separation of church and state? Did the Southern Cameroons have a separation of church and state? Yes or no? So essentially, they are butting in and they are ruining the lives of their people, rather than be talking about spirituality, religion, and spirituality and love and all that stuff. They are getting in politics and they are messing up. They are messing up stuff. May he rest in peace. Cardinal Toomey.
To me,
Yes, he too was involved in these state matters, and I don't think they should get involved in it. And this goes back even in history. The Vatican was involved with the Nazis during the Second World War, during the massacre of the Jews, the genocide against the Jews, and they were in good terms with the Nazis. And as you can see, when it comes to genocide, for some reason the church though never stands out to actually fight for to free the oppressed. For some reason they are always with the oppressor. With that is very, very strange. In our case, at least, that is what I've been seeing. The few that are bold enough to open their mouth and say something, they kill them. You all remember I think it was a bishop. What was his name? Bishop Bala, the one who was killed and dumped in a river under a bridge around the time that these struggles started. So that is what they do. And coming back to your question, they will never they will I want to come back to that question about special status. La République will never give us any and there is nothing that will ever gain through being with La République. In order to have our total freedom, maintain our independence and our sovereignty, we have to break away 100%. I'm talking 100%, not even 99% away from French Cameroon. 100% break away. And to be honest, I'm happy with the revolution that is taking place in the Sahel, in West Africa, and I'm hoping, like you said earlier, things are going to change for the better for Amazonia. There may be shed of blood, but we have faith that God is in control and Amazonia will be free. Thank you.
Yeah, talking about what is happening in Ukraine and in the Sahel, West Central Africa, with all the uprisings against French imperialism, I thought it was taken away from us. But I'm telling you, recently I am beginning to see some hope for us in the light of what is going on in all these places. We're not going to go into the details of that because some things are better held in the pocket. But let me get back to Dennis. Dennis, I'd like you to explain to Ambazonians the reason we cannot take anything than a free and independent Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. And for Honorable Sango, I would also like you to prepare to talk about what Ambazonians should be prepared to do. Because I think that, number one, the people need hope and they need reason to keep believing that this thing is heading towards victory for us. Some people are so discouraged, some are very worried, but I keep on saying that wars of independence take place for 20 years, 30 years, and we have clocked 7 already, less than, I guess, 20 to go. Tell Ambazonians, Dennis, the reason why there is hope in the circumstances we find ourselves.
Thank you, Comrade Chris. Now, let me tell Ambazonians that, look, those who are saying that, oh, we have suffered too much for 7 years, like Capo, those are deceitful people. Let them see how long Eritrea fought. Let them see how long South Sudan fought. Let them see how long East Timor fought, and so on and so forth. Wars of independence, let the enemy declare victory today. Tomorrow, the fight will begin again. This is the fact. We are the ones who dictate the pace of the war. We are the ones who choose when to attack. We are the ones who choose where to attack. So the enemy is free to come out and declare that the war is over. Tomorrow we are coming back. Now, let me explain to our people, let them understand clearly why we cannot accept anything other than full independence. Now, if you read the resolutions that some white people have written, they say, oh, you can solve this thing through good governance, and so on and so forth. You see, when they use the word good governance, people become excited. They say, yes, all that we need is just that the government should implement good governance and we will have our freedom. No. You see, good governance is based on what? On justice, freedom of expression, is based on education. Now, the French Cameroon has decided that the only way it can control us is to deprive us of the right to meet freely in our territory, so our people cannot assemble freely. Before we had AAC1 and AAC2, it was a tug of war, and we had to hire boys to be guarding us, trying to hide where to go. So La République du Cameroon does not allow us to meet freely in our territory. Secondly, La République du Cameroon will not allow us to discuss the Southern Cameroon's problem openly and publicly, even whole meetings to discuss it within Cameroon as a whole. So you can see all of this makes it impossible. Colonialism is based on the idea that I, the colonial master, I am superior to the person I have colonized. I will be the one to tell that person to do. I will be the one to decide his fate. He cannot decide anything for himself. I am the only person fit to have a nation. I'm the only person fit to fly a flag. I'm the only person fit to fly an anthem. The people I've colonized have no such right. And that is exactly what La République du Cameroun is doing. La République du Cameroun has said the people of the Southern Cameroon are unfit to fly their own flag. They're unfit to sing their own anthem. They're unfit to use their own language. They're unfit to use their own laws. They're unfit to use their own educational system. And it has taken those things and it is imposing its own things, its own inherited French culture on us. This is exactly European colonization repeating itself between Ambazonia and La République du Cameroon. So there is no possibility whatsoever that we can ever have freedom unless we have our complete independence. Colonialism is a system that is based on violence, on lawlessness, on theft, on slaughter, because the only way the colonial master can control you is through violence and intimidation. So there's no what kind of debate can La Republic accept? This is why La Republic is running away from dialogue every day because it cannot sit down in public and discuss openly with the people of the Southern Cameroons. It has no case. It has no case. So let the people of the Southern Cameroons understand that we can't have peace unless we have independence. La République du Cameroon can give anything it likes, but it will deprive us of our right to use our own language and to refuse to use French. It will deprive us of our right to form political parties to mobilize and promote the ideology of our freedom. Refused to even hear. There is no court in La République du Cameroon to which we can submit this case because their courts are part of the colonial process. They will not allow us to raise this case. So where are you going to raise any case? They can stop you anytime, search you, and do whatever they like because you are a slave to them. You have no right to speak. They can tell you that they give you rights, but no, what rights do we have? We don't have those rights. So let our people understand the fundamental human rights that Cameroon has deprived us. We have no right to form political parties to mobilize our people for the people purpose of the Southern Cameroons. We have no freedom to meet in our territory and discuss the Southern Cameroons problem. There's no avenue to which we can raise this issue and solve it in court. Why can't we go to court with this matter if La République du Cameroon believes in justice? So there's no possibility at all whatsoever that Cameroon will ever accept justice. So we cannot live under a system in which justice cannot be granted for the issues that matter to us. So let us understand all of these things. These are the fundamental things that make it impossible for us to share one space of existence with La République du Cameroon. Not only that, anybody who believes in justice will know that La République du Cameroon has no right whatsoever over our territory. Go to the United Nations and search. There is no instrument whatsoever of international law that gives jurisdiction over our territory to La République du Cameroon. La République du Cameroon went to the Bakassi case and deceived the judges that, oh, our people voted to join them. No, it was a conditional vote because we had agreed before the vote that if the vote went in favor of them, we were going to form a federation of two states equal in status. Now, you people tell me, where in the world have you seen a federation of two foreign countries where one of the states abolishes the other? It is like you and me getting into a joint venture. We put our money together, start a single business, and along the way, you deprive me of my own share and turn me into a slave. So let our people understand this story very well. Let them understand this story very well. There is no hope for any peace under La République du Cameroon because La République du Cameroon is a colonial master over us and it will treat us exactly like a colony. That is to say, the freedom it gives us is as long as you don't raise the issues that are important to you, you cannot raise the issue of your flag, you cannot raise the issue of your language, you cannot raise the issue of your anthem, you cannot raise the issue of your own laws, you cannot raise the issue of the jurisdiction over your own space of existence. So all of those things make it impossible. I hope that this has made things clear to those who did not understand. Thank you.
Thank you. Sango, you see, people were listening to the audios put out there by Capo Daniel, and they will say, oh, we are losing the war. It is done. La République is buying everybody. Now they forget to realize that people like Capo Daniel have never meant anything to this war. They are talking birds who really are harmless to the cause. What would you tell Amazonians listening to us tonight about the hope that lies ahead for us, Sango?
Yeah, thank you. That's a very, very good question, Common Chris. It's an extremely important question because in life, what we know is that it's the small majority of trusted people that do the work. They do the trick. If it's in a struggle, it is just a 20% that does the trick. Now, here's the thing: whether it's in an institution, at their workplace, in churches, in all organizations, there is a rule of thumb that says, for the most part, it's only 20% that deliver. 20%. And that's a fact of life. So, for those who are falling behind or have been discouraged because of some deficiencies among us, don't forget, it's just a small minority of people who do the trick. Don't give up. Let's be persistent and be determined. In the words of Calvin Coolidge, he was the 40th American president. He said something about persistence and determination. He said, nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. He further went to say, nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talents. He further went to say, genius will not. That unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. And finally, he said, education will not. That the world is full of educated derelicts. He ended by saying, determination and persistence are omnipotent. So if Ambazonians can keep these words in their minds, there is no question in mind that in spite of the small minority who's doing the work now, I know a lot of people have been discouraged, but you should never be discouraged as long as you are determined and you are persistent, and that is what I expect all Ambazonians to be on board. Do not be discouraged because there is green light in the tunnel. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That is a great articulation. Let me move to Honorable Ajua Aude. You are the chair of the Restoration Council. And you know, we have moments in this struggle where people are downtrodden, they are discouraged, and they feel like we are losing it. What can you tell them as the chair, the vice chair of the Restoration Council, sir?
Yes, thank you, Comrade Chris. I want to also appreciate a similar answer given just moments ago by Honorable Sango Etongwe of the Restoration Council about persistence. There is in history, and that is why even great empires fall, because they think they are so powerful, nothing will ever happen to them. Where did the Greeks go? Where did the Romans go? You hear that we used to hear about people like Alexander the Great, all the Caesars, Mark Antony. They finally went down the path of history, down the path of history. So no condition is permanent. We should know that in life, no condition is permanent. Persistence, as we already heard from Honorable Etongwe, is paramount. Every war at some point will end. And when it ends, it will end on a negotiation table. La République should know that regardless of how many weapons they get from France, Ambazonians will persist. My advice to Ambazonians, the few committed Ambazonians, Southern Cameroonians, who truly believe in our freedom, who truly believe in justice, who know that regardless from what angle we look at this problem, the law, international law, is on our side. They should persist, and persist. So endurance is the key. The few that are totally determined, whether it's going to be another 5 years, another 10 years, another 20 years. Look at East Timor. We mentioned earlier Eritrea. We mentioned Sudan, South Sudan, or Sudan. Their problems ended up on the negotiations table. So we shouldn't give up. And we have a way out, which has already been floated, and as we know, Ambazonians should be ready and hope that if we get our referendum if we get that referendum supervised by the international community, that would be the best way to solve this problem. A referendum will stop the war so that people can vote for that referendum. The referendum would also mean that they might probably set up, international community might set up a demilitarized zone between French Cameroon and the Southern Cameroons for a referendum to take place. So at least a semblance of peace will return at that point. And we know what the result of that referendum is going to be. That referendum will be the answer to our prayers. That referendum will solve the problem so that French Cameroon will see the results of the referendum, the international community will see the result of the referendum, and the Southern Cameroons will also see the results, and we don't have any doubt what the results of that referendum will be. That is where our hope lies. Endurance, endurance, endurance until the end, until we have our free country. Thank you.
Thank you.
Comrade Prince, let me just come in a little bit.
All right.
You remember Archbishop Nkea'S said that they had sent in a paper stating that they were for federation. Now, let me make it very clear that we as Southern Cameroonians do not reject federation. Our problem is that nobody should impose it on us. It should come through popular consultation of our people. Let our people decide if they want federation or not. That is why we are talking of a referendum. Our people must be the ones to decide through a genuine referendum supervised by the international community what the relationship they want with La République du Cameroon should be. So let La République du Cameroon understand that we are not rejecting federation or standing only for independence. It will be decided by our people through a genuine referendum. That is the most important point to make clear. You see, Comrade Chris is saying that we know how it will go. No, election is an election. Let us keep it open. Whatever our people decide, that is what we will accept. So we want La République du Cameroon to understand that we can resolve this problem by accepting an internationally supervised referendum so that our people can freely express themselves on the issues that will be put
but why do
on
you
the
even
table.
think? Why do you think that is happening when Bishop K is already saying special status provides the regions with greater autonomy?
No, that is what I'm telling him, because that is dictatorship. He thinks that because he's a bishop, his opinion is already the law on all the rest of Amazonians. He thinks that the Mokete's opinion is already the law of Amazonians. That's exactly what the Amazonians are fighting against. We say that, yes, whatever is your individual opinion, no problem. Let the matter be put to our people, and you come and convince our people to vote for that position. If you can convince our people and our people can see the logic in a federation, they will vote for federation. So this is the point. We are saying that let this matter be resolved through an internationally supervised referendum. Paul Biya has declared a war that he cannot win. He's spending his time killing people. He's almost in his grave, but he thinks that he will murder as many people as possible before dying. That will not help him. That will not help Cameroon. That will not help Amazonia. This is why we are saying that there is a solution to this matter. Paul Biya has refused to come to dialogue. Okay, we accept. Now, if you refuse dialogue, Switzerland you refuse, Canada you refuse, why will you not accept referendum? Let the reasonable people in La République du Cameroon tell Paul Biya to accept an internationally supervised referendum so that we can end this carnage and this suffering for our people. Let them express themselves freely so that they will, through that method, they can tell the government of Cameroon what they want. The issue of who shall we talk to doesn't arise anymore. Once we come to a referendum, the Paul Biya cannot say, I don't know who to talk to, because you are going to talk to all Southern Cameroonians. Yes. Let the matter be put to our people through an internationally supervised referendum, and this war will end immediately.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate that. Ladies, gentlemen, stay in there for a few seconds as I launch out for a short break, and when I come back, I bring to you what economic sabotage is doing to the institution, especially the educational institutions in La République du Cameroon. Stay put. All right. Thanks for staying put in there, ladies and gentlemen. Who says that economic sabotage is not working? The last time I brought to you a presentation on the state of infrastructure, the roads in particular, in Amazonia. Today, I want to bring you another sector that is the evidence that economic sabotage is working. It is actually working. It is indeed working, and it is actually bringing La République du Cameroon to her knees. In this report, I examine the effects of economic sabotage on the admissions and operations of several state universities in Cameroon. And when I say Cameroon, I am referring to their institutions, especially in Amazonia. Due to the economic sabotage implemented by Amazonia, the La République du Cameroon's government has run out of budget. Again, they have run out of budget, leading to temporary suspension of PhD admissions in all of their universities. This decision has affected aspiring candidates who were looking to pursue advanced degrees in various disciplines. The lack of funding will result in a halt in research and academic progression in those institutions, their universities. The entrance exam into ENS Bambili, a prestigious teacher training institution known throughout the years, has not been launched this year due to the economic constraints faced by La République du Cameroon. For the past few years, even when the government launched the exam, if they admitted just, say, 65 students, only 5 were government sponsored. The rest were privately sponsored. The advent of economic sabotage leaves the institution in a position where its doors may not be open for a while because of shortage of funds, leaving aspiring teachers without access to quality training and education. But that is not all. NSET Kumba, a renowned engineering school, we have learned, has been suspended as a direct consequence of economic sabotage. The financial strain on La République du Cameroon's government has resulted in a lack of resources to sustain the operations of the institution. This suspension has not only disrupted the education of current students in NSET, but has also affected the prospects of future engineering students in the school, the institution in K-Town. How about ENAM, the National School of Administration and Magistracy? It is at risk of not being launched, again, due to economic challenges coming from economic sabotage faced by the La République du Cameroon's government. Enam plays a crucial role in training administrators and magistrates, and its potential cancellation would have detrimental effects on the governments and judicial systems in that country. These developments highlight the impact of economic resistance and sabotage as a powerful tool in the ongoing conflict in Amazonia. The aspirations and educational opportunities of students have been compromised by a country that prefers war to services, and further exacerbating the already dire situation in Amazonia. And ladies and gentlemen, that is what is happening with economic sabotage. The road situation, infrastructure situation is not the only problem that La République du Cameroon is facing. You also have a situation where higher institutions are being shut down. Now I bring back my panel here. Honorable Ajua, you have seen the state of road in Amazonia. There is no street in Bamenda with tar. There are no roads into Bamenda, no roads to Nkambe, to Ngoke Tunjia, to Lebialem, to Kupe Mwaneguba, Tombe, and so on and so forth. Womb. Horrible. And now they are facing the shutdown of schools because they cannot afford the finances to run those institutions. How long can they go before they call this war to an end?
Yes, thank you, Secretary Chris, Comrade Chris. Thank you very much. Here's what is happening. La République, right from the beginning, all the way back to from 1961, they have never done anything good for the Southern Cameroons. Nothing. Even when we had something, our people had to fight for it. As we're talking about education, the universities, the GCE board, we had to fight for it. Nothing. Instead, they destroyed whatever we have. If you want to write down the list, you may write a whole book about how they destroyed our economy, including our educational system. They didn't build any roads. Their prime minister that they put there, a puppet, what I would call a puppet and a stooge. His own division, Indian division. Can you travel by road from Kumba through Mbonge all the way into the enclaves of Indian division? You can't. Look at the roads. Just look at the roads. Come to the whole of Amazonia. Look at all the roads in the rainy season. Even in La République itself, talking in their own sector, just look at the roads. Vehicles are down deep into the mud until their wheels, when their wheels spin, they don't even touch the ground anymore. The chassis of the vehicle is suspended by mud. They are going nowhere. So the things that they did to us, in fact, they're actually doing some of those things to their own people because of their mismanagement, their embezzlement of public funds, the corruption. When you give money for contracts, they go and embezzle the money, put it in their pockets, put it in foreign banks, and that's it. And the people who is suffering, the people are suffering. Why this minority, they are so-called elite who don't care about their people, whether they are politicians or greedy business people that take contracts from the government. There is no accountability, and everything goes down the drain. So as they did those things in order to punish us, in order to make our lives miserable, well, I can say the chickens are coming home to roost, because the evil that they plan against us is the same evil that is turning around and biting them in where the sun doesn't shine. So yeah, I'm glad you are showing that picture on the screen right now. Look at the roads. And what do we not have? Look at all the resources that we have in the Southern Cameroons, Amazonia. Do our people have electricity? Look at this, even the educational system that we're talking about. the educational system is a mess. They destroyed our educational system. They want us to follow theirs, and with roads like the ones that we are seeing right now on the screen. How can you even have development? What kind of development are you talking about? What kind of development are you talking about when you have this kind of infrastructure? Whether it's road infrastructure, electricity infrastructure, water systems for the people to drink clean water, they don't have. Diseases everywhere because the people are drinking dirty water. They are always sick, and the money is not there to cure themselves. The hospitals are not there. Medical system is even on is not even known. It's unknown. The health system is not even. You can't even say that they have a health system. That health system is trash compared to other places or other countries. It's nothing but trash. You can even people will. This war in itself that we're talking about, this war against Amazonia, a lot of people are dying, people are falling sick, just as a consequence of this war. Do you know how many people are going through emotional and mental distress because of this war? Do you know how many people that have died, who have been to the hospital, have died or are sick and cannot even have treatment? They cannot get medicine because of this war. This war was brought to us by an evil system. And we hope and pray to God that the evil people within this system, that their time will come and they will all go away, and the new generation of Africa, the new generation of even in French Cameroon, let's hope that they have their peace and their happiness one day. We hope that will happen. We are praying for Amazonia, that this old generation, this terrible generation, the evil ones, their time will come and they will go away into the dustbin of history, and Amazonia will be free, and our people will enjoy their resources and live better and happier lives in peace and in justice. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Let me get the take of Sango on this economic sabotage thing, please.
Well, Secretary Chris, I think sometimes what goes around comes around. When you deprive someone of his, not only his life to live a better life, it turns around to bite you. Now, I think it's so disgraceful that, for instance, Ndian, which is a major breadwinner for La République du Cameroon, cannot provide a motorable road where the resources are coming from to Kumba proper. It is so shameful. And I think Amazonians, particularly in that part of the country, who witness this and are blindsided by the politicians who feel this is not a worthy fight. I think they need to see how other countries not only behave, how they use their resources well. Because I'm watching at this picture, the video here about of the roads in Cameroon. I'm just shaking my head. But it is true that what goes around really comes around. Let them see the nemesis of neglecting a people who have everything you can think about. And I always ask my people this question. If you go to somebody's home and find something very durable, something nice that serves the purpose for that household, isn't it very reasonable to go to the market with the available resources to get something similar to make or improve the life of your own family? We have politicians who leave Cameroon, come to the United States. They see how these roads look like. They see the infrastructure. They see a lot of stuff, but they cannot go home and say or tell the president of the republic, can we do this for our people? No, they will not, because they are all cowards, and all they look for is what is to their best interest. But you talked about this economic sabotage. To me, it is the best thing that has ever happened to Amazonians. We should continue, we should persist on this economic sabotage, because it is our lifeline to get our freedom. Because if you keep on hitting on somebody's power, if it's the only hand which is remaining is the right hand, hit that right hand, keep hitting on it. By the time you know it, he will surrender because that is his life wire. So I believe, to persist and determine, to beat this economic, to continue with this economic sabotage, because to us, to me, the way I look at it, it's our most viable instrument that will almost bring this government to a screeching halt. So, gentlemen, I cannot overstate the importance of the economic sabotage, because it is the way to go to have this thing come to a screeching halt. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'll quickly get to one more subject before I let Comrade Dennis go to bed. I know it's quite late where he is. But Russia, Africa Summit, and Biya managed to make it there, ladies and gentlemen. To me, he looked far better. He appeared far better than what he looked like when he showed up in Washington, D.C. There seems to be some coherence in him. And he actually walked up the stage without any problem, though Putin had to wait for him forever for him to show up on stage. Let us take a look at this image here. Take a look. Now, I'd like you to see how long it takes Putin. Look at the body language on Putin. How long it takes for Biya to get to him. When I first watched this clip, I didn't know that Putin was actually waiting for Biya. You can see him strengthening his leg, changing his pose. Look at that, look at that, look at that. He's waiting for too long and having to change his posture, just waiting for Biya. See, his legs moving from one post to the other. The mind is getting very impatient, waiting for Biya to arrive. He's still waiting because Biya cannot walk. Look at Putin. Putin is constantly changing his posture there. All right. And so finally, he makes it. Finally, he makes it. But that is not what is important to me here, gentlemen. What is important to me is, I don't know whether you guys see what is going on here. Cameroon, under Biya, is consistently shifting away from France. They are not willing to outrightly go out like the Nigerians, the Malians, Burkina Faso, Guinea. They're not yet ready to outrightly go out and condemn the French. But we see Cameroon constantly shifting towards Russia, China, kind of alienating the French. I don't know what your take on that is, what you see this to mean, but I'd like to know your thoughts on this, Comrade Dennis.
Comrade Chris, now before I come to that, let me just say this in case La Republique people are listening. You know, the Ethiopian Tigray War finally ended when they accepted dialogue in South Africa. That dialogue did not hold in Ethiopia, it held in South Africa, and the matter was resolved. For years, the Ethiopian government had regarded the Oromia Liberation Army as a terrorist group. Finally, they accepted to go to Tanzania and resolve their matter. The matter was resolved. Now, I don't know who is advising Cameroon. You were talking of economic sabotage. The most backward minds that I've seen are in Cameroon. What I'm seeing is the destruction of the thinking ability of the people. The minds are getting more and more backward, because I cannot understand why they cannot see the examples in the world and see how other countries have resolved the similar problems. In Kenya, Raila and Ruto, they had to go and sit and resolve the issue that is separating them. So I don't know who is advising Cameroon or why they are so blind and so backward in their thinking. They prefer this war to realizing that if they end this war, it will be for the good of their own people and our own people. But for colonialism, they will not let go. Anyway, so that is it. Now, coming back to this shifting of La République du Cameroon from France. Well, you see, I saw another picture where Bongo fell. I don't know whether it was in which summit. He was addressing the people and then he collapsed on the podium. This is similarly the same thing where this man, Paul Biya of La République du Cameroon, even though he's near his deathbed, he would prefer to go to Russia just to hang in there. This is something that he can decide that, look, it's time for me to retire. I will not retire, or I will hand over power and quit the scene and go and rest and prepare for his departure. But he will not do so. He wants to die on the way. Now, it is a fact that you know that he has had clashes with Macron. He doesn't want to give in to Macron the way other Francophone countries do, but at the same time, Macron believes that if he loses Cameroon, then he has lost so much. So both sides are playing hide and seek, playing safe with each other so that Macron doesn't want to rock the boat and Paul Biya doesn't want to rock the boat. So he wants to hang in there. But my experience in history is that nobody has developed under Russia. No matter what African countries think, oh, Russia is coming to happen, nobody has developed under Russia. Look at their history with all the countries they have occupied. No country occupied by Russia ever developed. So, despite everything, despite the fact that they want to help Africa, they cannot help you economically or in human development. So I don't think that we can go very far with Russia. It is just to protect ourselves against the words that people are running to Russia, not that they can actually get anything that will take them far. No, nothing far can come from that association with Russia. No, it is just a trick for African countries to protect themselves against Western hegemony. This is all I can think.
Comrade Sango Louis, but don't you think that this is alienating the French from Cameroon?
Well, yeah, well, I think it's just a fact of life that in life you can't have it both ways. It's either or. So you cannot be manipulating with Russia and at the same time manipulate with France, because these are two great nations that have different interests. So certainly the fact is, it's either or. And here's the thing: in life, what is good on one side of the equation must be bad on the other side of the equation. It cannot be the same. So I think Cameroon or Russia should know exactly what they need from each other, because the equation is not correct. And as Honorable Dennis just said, or alluded a few minutes ago, Russia is not a nation that you can benefit from. They have lapses in their economy. They have lapses in the only area that Russia is good is military. And even in military, this war has actually made people to see how, the military deficiency that is clouded with Russia. I don't think if Cameroon is trying to ally himself with Russia, the benefit would be that much, because Russia has a lot of deficiencies. I can just explain a lot of them. It will take all of our time. But the truth about it is that if La République wants to make friendship with Russia, there is something very specific in nature that they're after. Maybe, just like you said, it's a gradual shifting from francs to finally liberate itself. Because as they can see what is happening in the French West African countries, they're beginning to realize France is not a very good person to be in friendship with. They are dubious All they do is they care about their people. And if our young men run to go to France, they don't accept them yet. See the contradiction. They exploit us, they exploit our resources, and when our folks go to France, they will not allow them to stay there. That is so dubious. You have developed a nation because of what you get from us. So what is wrong for our folks, of our young people to go come to your place to enjoy what you have ripped away from them? So these things are very contradictory. But you can tell a greedy man is a greedy person when he doesn't want to share with somebody else. So I think overall, Cameroon should be very careful. But I think the shifting should be gradual as they have set it to be, because at the end of the day, they will replicate what some of these West African French countries have done. Because what's good for the geese is good for the gander. They have to run away from France. They have exploited us to a point of maximum. It is time that they say enough is enough. But how do you do it? How do you deal with it? It's something that they have to think about very prudently, because France has a very unseemly way of doing things, like they did in Haiti. They destroyed that country, and to this day, Haiti has been one of the poorest countries because of what France did to Haiti. So I think every time you get engaged in an activity that you want to free yourself, like most Africans want to do, we should do it with prudence. The Republic should do it with prudence. And the rest will be history.
All right. Thank you, Honorable Sango. It was a pleasure having you. I know you are rushing to get out of office. Thanks for joining the show, sir. Let me get to Honorable Ajua out there to give us your take on the direction that Cameroon is taking, essentially alienating the French. Where does this lead to? Where does it end? What do you see the reaction of the French to be, sir?
Yes, thank you, Comrade Chris. I think as the whole world is watching the change that is what I would call the winds of change that is sweeping the world, beginning in Europe, the war in Europe, the involvement of the international community in the war in Europe between Russia and Ukraine. And we also look at the winds of change that is taking place in West Africa, or some people will say in the Sahel. That is a major those are major winds of change. If we also consider the fact that French Cameroon, they have been studying this situation for a while. When they took that decision to establish a military treaty or liaison or partnership with Russia, they were already reading the tea leaves. They were looking into the future, and they were looking at how things were going to turn out to become in the future. Or maybe they got some secret information that we don't know, and they went and started aligning themselves with Russia. Because you would ask yourself, why would a country like French Cameroon that signed that their so-called cooperation treaty with France, that France has dominated for how many years? About 6 decades. Suddenly goes and allies itself with leaves their puppet master France to go and align themselves with Russia. Why would they do that? Now that is very telling. And then now we see what is happening in the Sahel with this in countries like Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger recently, and we are looking also at the reaction of countries like Mauritania and Algeria, threatening that if ECOWAS goes ahead with their threat of invading in Niger, they were going to come in and fight. So you can see how you could end up having a regional war in Africa, where Africa may actually be split, where even the AU will suffer, might actually cause the splitting of the AU, and that ECOWAS could actually be destroyed, and what do we think is going to happen with the United Nations, with the UN? The UN is going to have serious problems as well if these things happen in Africa to that point. There have been, as we know, there have been rumors that France is trying to join the BRICS. When I first read about that, I said to myself, there is no way the BRICS can be compatible with NATO. If France goes and joins the BRICS, so it means France is going to leave NATO. What effect would that have if France actually leaves NATO and joins the BRICS? You know,
Well, I don't see the French even thinking about that because I don't think they want to work with Russia on the BRICS. They wouldn't want to work alongside with Russia. They would prefer their traditional allies, who are the British, US, Canada, Germans.
Comrade Chris, I said it was a rumor that they are trying to join the BRICS. Whether it's true or not, we don't really know. But if they did, what effect would that have on the military alliance within NATO? So the situation is very fluid. The major things we should watch the next months and the few years, I should say, in the world. Drastic things are happening right now in the world. And I think that change is going to be for the better, particularly for Africa. And this is a time that Africans should keep their eyes and their ears open for these changes and act accordingly. That's what I would like to say for now, Comrade Chris.
Yeah, just to piggyback what you said, VC. History always repeats itself. If the French people can understand how the French Revolution started, they will have no reason to doubt that there is a huge change which is transforming West African French countries, because the French Revolution started because of the way the French people treated their folks. It was bad, and they will have to reflect on how the French Revolution started. So it's no news. It is history that is repeating itself. West African French countries have suddenly, it's like they were sleeping and suddenly they woke up in a nightmare, in a dream of nightmare. And before you know it, places are crumbling like castle of cards. So definitely, gentlemen, just like VC just alluded a few minutes ago, there is a huge wave of change that will transform, West African French countries. I see it coming. It's a huge wave, but I think it is true. It's absolutely true. It is for our good, because even in Cameroon, believe me, it will happen. These things are very contagious politically. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I have to leave you. The office is closing, and I have to go. Next time, Comrade Chris, Honorable Dennis, and VC will talk.
All right. Thank you, Honorable Sango and Chris, as well, Dennis, for joining the broadcast tonight. I look forward to having you back one of these days. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get to the phones. I didn't forget the phones. We are going to get to the phones. But remember that before you call, make sure that the volume of your television set is shut down. Make sure that before you call, the volume of your TV set is turned down before you call. As usual, the phone number is there on your screen. So go ahead and call. I am waiting for your call. How can a bishop, a man of God who call his name bishop, sit down there and be lying? You cannot tell the truth as a man of God. Why are we fooling God that people are dying? It's kind of very badly written there, but that is a viewer writing in there. I'm waiting for your call, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, my comrade. Good evening, sir. Happy you are back again. Comrade, What I want to say here is that you people should think of another strategy faster, or else God will bless us with our land, but they will take it from us. The issue of brainwashing or divide and rule is their main target. It's not well written there, but I think I get the point he is trying to make there. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I get your message. Let's see what others are saying. The phone line is open. Let's get to the first caller here. Hello. 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 Please, before you call, make sure that the volume of your TV is shut down, because there will be a delay. All right, let's get to the next caller. Hello.
Yes.
Hello, sir. I can hear you. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Grand Zero, Meme County.
Meme County. Wonderful. What is on your mind, sir?
Yes, what is in my mind is that these men that you call men of God, they are not real men of God.
What they are not real men of God.
No, they are men of the devil, because we see the system that they are under. The Bible says in Revelation chapter 17, verse 5, that mystery Babylon, the great, the mother of harlot, and they are under this system, and this system is connived with the government, as the Bible says. So this system is a woman, the government is a beast. So they work together. So never a day that the bishop can support Ambazonia, because they are under a system that they connive with the government. The scripture said it very clear. So we need to understand that. So when people are calling the men of God, they are making a mistake, because you are blaspheming, because they are not real men of God. What happened to the Martin Luther when he break out many years ago? Because he find out that this system was not true. And when he break out, they established Lutheran Church. John Wesley break out, they established a Presbyterian Church, Baptist Church. But John Calvin break out, started Presbyterian Church. And this system, now the Bible called them the mother of harlot. So this system has produced a lot of churches that they are her daughters. So there's never a day they can stand for the truth. So what Bishop Nkea'S is saying, that he's saying is because they don't stand for the truth. They don't stand for the truth. I don't want Ambassador to believe them. I don't want Ambassador to put their trust in them. Ambassador need to put their trust in God. God has already said it, that Ambassador will be free. So what Ambassador is standing for independence is the mind of God.
All
so
right.
We should not be afraid of anything. God will give us a victory. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the call. You have a great night. Let's get to the next caller here. Hello. 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 All right, let's move to the next caller. Hello. Hello. Please, before you call, make sure you are not waiting to hear me speak from the volume of your television set. You have to stay on your phone. Call from your phone, listen to your phone, not your television set. All right. Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, sir. Go ahead. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Norway.
Oh, yeah, I think I know the voice. What is on your mind?
Yeah, Comrade Chris, let me first of all appreciate you for the wonderful show. The panel was just wonderful. It was apt and very straight on. I just want to make some contributions to the show.
All right.
Let me start first by this von Mokete and the Archbishop ordeal at the Grand National Dialogue. If you ask me, I would say that unfortunately the Archbishop is narrating something when von Mokete is dead and gone.
Exactly, that is the point I made.
He is not there to defend himself. So if we are taking it for a bet, then we are doing a wrong thing. We are doing a disfavor to his pops because he's not there to defend himself. That notwithstanding, let us assume that for the benefit of doubt, let us assume that we are stupid and we just have to go by what he's saying. On Mukete, if for some reason was doing that, then it was a pre-planned something, which means that he was held at gunpoint before the national dialogue. The reason why I say so is because we all know that there was a time that Mukete got up in the Senate and he was so furious and reminded La Republique that we came into this union in a two-state arrangement. On Mukete, we all know that. That video is somewhere on social media.
We know that video. You are very right. And you know that, but you know that after that video, we learned Von Mukete was strengthened because he had so many loans with...
Correct.
And he was threatened, and apparently he changed his position because of the threats.
Correct. And the same threat expanded or extended to the national dialogue, because this is what is happening. They wanted a situation where at the national dialogue will be that the Anglophones are not agreeing. So they have to look for some Anglophones to be at loggerhead with the others. So they picked him and gave him a condition and said, look, if you don't go and say this, then this is what we're going to do to you. So we are just assuming that if at all he said what Nke'a is saying, it's an assumption because he's not there to defend himself.
Right.
Then again, we also have to understand that if what Nke'a is saying is true, I disagree with him in the sense that when Biya was embarrassed in the peace conference in France, he said, we have decided to give the Southern Cameroonian a special status. He did not say the Southern Cameroonian choose a special status.
Correct.
Two different languages.
Correct. But you should realize that the whole thing was planned from the presidency into those halls, those grand national dialogue halls.
Correct. So all this thing of Bishop Nke'a is saying is something we should take with a pinch of salt. There's a lot of dust and cloud around it.
All right.
Regarding the Biya-Russian stuff, this is how I see it personally. This is how I see it. Biya is not going because I see Comrade Dennis was so concerned about the fact that Russia doesn't have some development. Yeah, that's not the point. Biya was not going or is not going to Russia because he needs some development from Russia. No. By Biya's age, Biya has really lost favor from the West. He's now looking for some godfather somewhere that can hang there and get his protection until he dies. That is the main reason why he's going to Russia. He's not going to Russia because he thinks that Russia is coming to develop Cameroon. When Biya is almost gone. So when is it? If he could not think of development for 40 years, is it not that he wants to think about development? He's unheard of. Biya is just looking for somewhere where he can also put France on his toes and the Western allies on their toes. And he finds that in Russia. That's the whole idea. Thank you.
Yeah, I think so too. Thank you for the call. All right. Okay, let's see who is next. The phone line is open. Please go ahead, call. I'd like to hear from you and know what is going on your mind. And remember that before you call, you make sure that you shut down the volume of your TV so that when you call, you are not having to wait until you hear my voice on your TV. When you call, stay on your phone and shut down the volume of your television set. All right, and while I wait for your calls, I just thought I should reinforce this idea, ladies and gentlemen, that folks, listen to me tonight. We are not, this war we have been fighting is not to overthrow the country or the government of Cameroon. Then we would say, oh, we've taken for too long. This is a war of liberation, a war of independence. And nobody, if you are fooled to think that, oh, we've taken too long, we are taking too long, show me a single country that has fought for independence and won in 2, in 3, in 4, or in 5 years. Not in this century, not in this generation. Yes, things may look as though they are slowing down, But listen to me, work is being done in the background, and the idea that, Larapople is setting up military camps there, rounding up our people here, rounding up our people there, shutting down roads, and so on and so forth. Those are the things that come with war. We are working hard. We are working hard out here strategizing how this war goes to the expected end. The expected end being a free and independent Southern Cameroon. Okay, this one said the talking this evening was excellent. All the panel members, including the Archbishop, are from the southern region of Ambazonia. I believe strongly the facts discussed, even though I am from the northern region. Thanks. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I think somebody, I think was the Honorable Ajwa, who said, we have to find a way to devise a more appropriate name for ourselves and stop calling ourselves by zones. Northern zones and southern zones. We have to find a way to get some better labels, better names, appellations for this territory, and stop calling ourselves northern or southern. I don't think that doesn't differ from what Larapople du Cameroon is calling North-So, or Northwest and Southwest. The division, they conquer and rule. I mean, they divide and rule and conquer is a ploy that Larapople has always used and continues to use up to today to divide us. You know, they go to the northern zone and they create the so-called House of Chiefs. Go to the southern zone and they create the so-called House of Chiefs. Those two houses, they never see eye to eye. If the chiefs in the northern zone agree on something, don't be surprised. Those in the southern zone, they will oppose it. They go to the northern zone, they create the so-called regional council. They go to Boya, they do the same, and those people will never agree on one thing, because the structures are set out to make sure that they remain divided. They are set up to make sure they remain divided. We had our one West Cameroon house, not a Bamenda House of Chiefs, not a Boya or Southwest House of Chiefs in regional council. You want to let us know you are doing what Ambazonians want? Give them a truly elected house, single house in Boya, as was the case in 1961. Then we will know you are catering for the needs of Ambazonia. Those are the kind of structures we are looking for. Not a divide and rule tactic. You go up to Bamenda, create a House of Chiefs and a regional council. Go to Boya, create a House of Chiefs and a regional council, and you make sure that you do everything to knock their heads. Let's open our eyes. Those structures are created to further divide us and knock our heads. That is not what we are fighting for. We're not fighting for houses of chiefs or regional councils. They by no means resemble what we had in 1961, the House of Chiefs in Boya. They do not resemble it by any means, ladies and gentlemen. They don't resemble it. So let us shine our eyes and see the manipulation that Larapople du Cameroon is trying to do. And unfortunately, Archbishop Nkea'S says, oh, autonomy is coming. The regions are getting their autonomy. From where and how? Through special status? Again, I ask the question, Archbishop, I ask the question, can the oil revenue in Victoria be used to develop Victoria, FACO, under your autonomy, special status? Can they start paying the taxes to FACO under your special status? Would the headquarters of the CDC be removed from Yaoundé to Victoria under your special status? Shall the people ever have the ability, the right to elect their governors under your special status? Of course not. That is not going to happen. And that is the one reason why we will fight until we say the last man standing. The war is not over. We ask Ground Zero, remain steadfast, remain firm, stand firm, remain resilient and brave in whatever that you can do to take this struggle to another level. Do it. We will support you. We will stand by you. We will encourage you. That is what all of us are in for. All right. Please go ahead. The phone number is still open. Let me see what. Okay, go ahead and call. The phone number is still open. The phone line is still open. Go ahead and call. I know some people have been trying to call, but they couldn't call through. But go ahead and call, please. Again, with what is going on, all that is going on, all that which is going on in Ukraine, in Central and West Africa, or some people call it the Sahel, ladies and gentlemen, it's a God-given opportunity that is coming our way. What is going on, the geopolitical shifting that is taking place in the Sahel. I want you to know this is a God-given gift that is coming our way, and we will not miss it. Let me get back to the phone. Hello.
Hello, good evening, Chris.
Good evening, sir. May I know where you are calling from, please?
I'm calling from Ground Zero, La Republic.
La Republic, okay. What is on your mind, sir?
Yeah, I just came in very late and I'm just entering and I was getting talks there.
Okay.
But this is what I have to say. I hear one of your panel there was talking healing changes in Africa. And people think that changes in Africa is when we partner with Europeans and all the other countries in the world. It is a lie. Change will never come by that. They are not seeing it spiritually. They are seeing things with emotion. Now, I was following something on the news, on recent news that is happening with Italy. Italy was Chinese fooled them about this BRI. He fooled them and he was telling them that that organization is created for world peace and development. Now, Chinese people were using this now to in-depth them, trap them. They will take contract and give to China. China will come there and refuse their people from working. And so now, most of the country now, Italy has started insulting them now because they have indebted Italy and other countries in the world, and they are dominating the world. Same as Russia is coming. Russia is frustrated. That is what the world is not seeing. So it's looking people to die with. And so the Republic is one of the countries that he want to die with because they are not seeing from where they are. They are seeing only the flattering things that they are bringing. So that is what I wanted to use this media to communicate to those who are seeing changes. When you live from one house to another, you are not free. That is why we want to live La Republic. We want to have liberty and want to have freedom. You cannot live from one house and go to another. And you think that you are looking for made food, you are looking for grain, you are looking for economic development. It cannot come. The moment they give it, they are something that they are gaining back. So that is what I
hear your point, but we are not talking here in terms of the gains, economic gains. We are talking about securing our freedom. When we secure our freedom, forget about any other thing. We'll decide the terms of it. You know what I mean? So, but when you are desperate, any man comes to your help, you take it. And once you take it, you have then to define the terms of collaboration or cooperation with that person. I think all that is needful now is we getting our independence, and how we get it to me right now doesn't really matter. We just want to get it. That is how desperate that we are. Thank you for the call.
Thank you. God bless you.
All right. All right. Hello. Again, before you call your...
Yeah, Yeah, Comrade Chris.
Yes, sir. Just a
Yes, I'm
I
coming
guess.
back regarding what is happening in the Sahel, regarding the recent update. You know, this is something that, like you said, we Africans should take it with joy, and I agree with you. Since the history of Africa, I mean, going back to the days of slavery, what has happened in these few days has never happened in the history of Africa. That African countries stand up and speak with one voice simultaneously. It has never happened, even in the days of slavery. So the joint statement from Mali, Guinea, Burkina Faso, and to some extent Algeria has taken the entire Western world aback.
Yeah.
They never saw this coming. I would tell you, if this joint statement did not come, fighter jets could have already been flying over Niger by now.
Or is there a joint statement out there from Burkina Faso, Guinea, Niger, Mali, and Algeria?
No, when I say joint statement, not really putting your one, I mean...
Okay, you mean their actions, all right?
Yes. Mali say I will support Niger. Guinea says the same. Burkina Faso says the same. Algeria also sent a written statement. This has never happened in the history of Africa. And I believe you, if this had happened during the days of Gaddafi, maybe Gaddafi could have been saved, or maybe the storyline of Gaddafi today could have been different. Maybe.
Yeah, right.
So this action alone has taken the Western world aback. They have still not consumed what is happening now in Africa. They have still not consumed it. Believe me, France was already airborne. There was a document, there was an announcement that the French troops were already thinking to invade the palace in Niger. They were already airborne, ready to go. So I'm just saying that the guy who is talking, what is talking there, like we said, let us first of all rescue ourselves. When we reach to the economic negotiation, we'll cross that bridge. For now, let us get what we have first.
Exactly.
We'll cross that bridge when we reach there.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you. That's what matters. Rescuing ourselves, and once we rescue ourselves, we can begin to discuss the economic, political, whatever packages that we need to discuss with whoever comes to our help. What we need now is the help. Ladies and gentlemen, I am going to call it a night, and I look forward to coming back to you possibly on Friday to do more justice with what has been going on. I'd like to thank you for staying put and being part of the show. I look forward again to being back here on Friday. You have a great night.